How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's Samantha Christine, and I'm back with another fun project. This will be another piece that I do in acrylic paint, but mind you, you can do this in any material or medium that you have. I will be starting with just a pencil, and then I will be going in with a marker, and I will end it with paint. Now, if you only have colored pencils or you only have markers or crayons, those are things that you can also use as well. So grab whatever colors you have, and I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I have to set up my palette real quick, and then I'm gonna come back and show you a few examples before we get started. All right, so I'm preparing my palette now. I am going to be doing multiple of these portraits. If you were just planning to do one, then just get the colors you need for the one, but I am using multiple colors throughout all of the portraits. So I have out all of my colors, my 3 primary and my 3 secondary. I also have a couple different brushes. They're mainly small ones. And I will be starting with my blue, so I don't need a lot, but I'll put out a little dollop of blue, and I'll just put that to the side in case I need any more. But I also have my black and my white. So for me, I'm going to only be doing blue in the first portrait that I will be showing you. So I'm only using the values of blue from its darkest dark to its lightest light. Again, use whatever colors you would like, but again, I will be starting here. The first step to drawing this portrait will be to line up the 3 lines that you need to distinguish for a face. So I'm starting with just my regular old pencil, and I'm gonna go in and I'm going to do an arch right there. And you kind of want it like a stretched out rainbow, because that's gonna be where your eyes are generally located in this portrait. And then you want to go down and about halfway, you want it maybe half the size, do another stretched out rainbow arch down in the center. That's going to be roughly where your nose will be. And then you want to come back down, starting anywhere on your canvas. If you have your first line, I would do about 2 fingers and then do your nose line and then do another 2 fingers and then do your third arch. Now this one does not have to be as long as the top one, but you want it larger than the little one you have in the middle. So I'm gonna keep it probably between there, just so it's a little bit shorter. So this top one will be your longest line, your shortest line in the middle, and then somewhere between those 2 lengths, that's gonna be your last bottom line. And this is gonna be your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. To connect this into the shape of a head, sometimes you wanna think almost like a circle or an oval, but this will line it up for you. So from here, I'm just going to add an arch of some kind to the top. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to kind of connect something in there. Now, I just brought my lines down. You can think almost like a triangle shape for the chin and a half moon shape for the forehead. From there, I want to draw a little straight line from the chin and bring it out so he has some shoulders. And that's going to be the first step to the drawing of the portrait. Again, this pencil line won't really show up at the end, and if it is too dark, I can always go in with an eraser to lighten some of it up, and then I will be using a marker on top of this. The second step before you go ahead and begin painting or adding your color is to go in with a thick Sharpie or a black marker, something that's darker than the pencil you've already used. And I always like to start with the nose. I'm going to use any shape I'd like, so I'm going to start by making almost like a triangle or like a lopsided rectangle, and that's going to be the shape of the nose. From there, I want to do a line on this side and create some sort of eyebrow shape. So I'm just going to do a rectangle. And then I'm going to come up on this side, except I'm not going to touch the nose with this one. I'm just going to start halfway up. And I'm going to do more of a curved shape for an eyebrow on that side. I'm going to come down to do the mouth. And I'm just gonna do a weird shape. Doesn't have to be anything particular. I'm gonna make a second line down and scribble something over on this side, a fun, weird shape, because we typically have a shadow on the side of our face, so that weird shape is now going to pretend to be that shadow. I'm going to draw in his eyes, and I'm actually gonna follow this arch that I still have there for my pencil. So I'm going to make that darker, and I'm gonna add a circle. We see that I added that circle because that's the shape of our eye, and then I'm just gonna scribble around and then end wherever. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. I'll start with my circle this time, cross through it, and just do a weird line there. I'm going to start right above the eyebrow, and I'm going to draw up following that top of the head and then scribble back, and that's gonna pretend to be like a hairline actually, which is kind of fun. I'm then going to come off the top of it a little bit and work to the side and line up with something over here and kind of just connect some shapes, whatever yours look like. I'm then gonna start from the hairline, go past the eyebrow, and come out and make something to look like an ear. Your ear typically isn't flush to your face, it sits off a little bit, so that little bump there kind of acts like the earlobe. This will come down, and I'm gonna kind of loop. I always like doing a little spiral or something in the chin, and then I'm gonna come up and point in and then loop out. That point is gonna look like an eye crevice, where this is gonna be your cheek, and that's the beginning of a forehead. Again, that shadow, we wanna kind of scribble something on that side. I'm gonna come in from the mouth now, maybe. And this is all totally random. There's no rules to this. It's however you wanna lay the shapes or cross the lines. But that's his mouth. This is very free. You can do any lines you want. I'm gonna thicken his chin line up, kind of make it look like he has a beard, and then just close off his chin. Now I think his ear looks a little small, so I'm gonna make that larger and then kind of connect it in just a little bit. And I'm also going to make his forehead a little bit more connected. So that's gonna be his head. We can see his eyes, where his nose is. Maybe I wanna add more lines to his nose for nostrils. But now for his neck, I kind of want to work my way diagonally and like cross these lines, almost to a V if you wanted. Add maybe some more shapes, another squiggle, and then I'm gonna come off his neck, and that's gonna be a shoulder. I'll come back this way, and that'll be something. So that's gonna be my portrait. I will go back and erase these pencil lines a little bit because I don't want them to blend into my paint. But now all I have to do is figure out how I'm going to mix my colors, and then I can start painting this. Before we started painting, I wanted to show a few more examples. So that one, it was kind of a larger portrait that I had drawn. Again, they don't have to be perfect. Everyone's is gonna look totally different. And these are a few that I did earlier. So they don't have any paint on them yet. I'm going to actually do the first one with painting with you guys, and I'm very excited. But these are other drawings that only have the pencil and the marker. So here is the first one. And they all look totally different and kind of bumpy and just a little weird. We have this one also. He's a little smaller to the size of the canvas, but that's all right. And we have this one, almost like she's looking upward because her chin kind of lifts up. It's almost like she's looking upward and not off of the paper or at us. I have this one, which I really liked too. This one was fun. I enjoyed this one. You can see his cheek crevice, which I thought was really nice. and I'm really excited to go back and paint all of these as well. And then this was the last one I had from earlier. And you can see that the shapes and the lines don't even have to make total sense, but when they all come together and you base it off of those 3 lines, the half arch, and bringing that chin down into somewhat of a point, you can see how you can build a portrait off of just that layout. Now, again, I have to go mix my colors up and then I will be getting painting. So I'm very excited and I will meet you back here in just a moment. Shapes inside of the drawing are somewhat small. I'm going to be using a skinny brush and a small amount of paint. Now again, earlier I said that I was going to keep each portrait just values of one color, and I chose blue for this one. So I'm going to start with a lighter baby blue. I added white to it, and this is going to be the first color I use in the portrait. So because it is my light color, I will want to be putting this in the areas I think might need to be highlighted, like the tops of the noses or the cheekbones, because this will be almost one of our lightest colors. So I went back and I erased just a little bit of those pencil lines, and that's all right that some of them are still there because my paint will cover it up. I am going to start in the areas I think will be lighter. So I'm going to add this light blue, and I'm not worried about covering up some of the black because I can always go back in with that marker at the end and fix some of the lines that might get painted over or might get lost. I'm going to go in underneath in that little corner by his eyebrow and put some highlights in there. And this will connect all the way up top. And you just want to keep mixing all these different areas with, or I'm sorry, not mixing, you want to keep filling these areas with the color that you've chosen to start with. So because mine again was that baby blue, that lighter color, I want to make sure that I'm getting where the light will be hitting. Like I said earlier, the tops of the nose, the cheekbones in here, on this side might have a little bit. And say I want this highlight here, but I don't want to fill this entire area in, then I can just put that color there. And if I want a black line between that later, I can add that. This is completely random. You can go back and draw that black line with your Sharpie over the paint once it's dried. So a lot of my lines are getting covered up and it doesn't look as neat, but that's something I can fix at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing these, and I'll meet you back when I mix my second color. So because I want my next color to be just a little bit darker, I'm actually going to add that blue directly into the light blue I already had, and that'll just naturally darken what I already had up, creating a nice fade between values. Now I want it to be significantly darker, but not the original darkness. So I think those two colors compared to each other look very nice, and that's going to be. Again, now I'm just going to be adding this in randomly where I think this darker blue will look appropriate, or if it just makes me happy that the blue goes there, then I'll put it there. That's a lot of what art is what you think is right or what you think you like. So don't worry about if it's perfect or what you think I would want done. Do it to however makes you happy, and that's the best part about art, is you really can be very unique with the way you use your colors or the way you use your lines. So definitely remember to have fun during this, and I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing these darker blues throughout the rest of this portrait. And I will also be mixing more colors while I continue to fill up the different shapes left in the face. So I had originally started with that really light blue, but now that I've gotten farther into the portrait, it's not light enough, and I have other areas that I need to be more highlighted. So I'm going to go in with this whisper of a blue. This is such a light baby blue. So you can see it compared to the white, it's very, very, very light, and it's very, very close to that white color. So this will now be my lightest light, and I'm gonna go back and add some more highlights to the portrait. So we just finished painting. Now I do want to still add a background, and I ended up losing way more of the black lines than I thought. So I will be outlining my shapes again and adding a darker background, but this is what he looks like right now. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me for another at-home project. I am going to reveal what ours looks like right now, but remember, I did go back and I added a dark background, and I re-outlined all of my shapes with that black marker from the beginning. So this is how mine turned out. I can't wait to see how yours turns out also, and I hope that you are enjoying these fun little abstracts. Always remember that art isn't supposed to be perfect, it's supposed to be fun. So this is how ours turned out today. And from me and him, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your evening, and that is all for now. Come back for more art lessons online and fun projects that you can do from your home.